This is Eric Wayne, United Realty. I was asked to do a brief sold video in Automotive for Indian River, which is where Vero Beach is. And also I'm going to do a second sold video for Valuation. I'm going to first look up Indian River, see the solds, all the solds in the category of Automotive. There was only 5 of them. I'm going to show those to you. I'm going to give you an average. I have to remove 1 of them, and 2 of them are the same. I'm going to show you that in a minute. And then I'm going to do the same thing just for collision, because now we have 67 counties I could pull from. There were 80 solds. From that, I did under $200,000 in SDE, seller's discretionary earnings, and $400,000 or less. Between 200 and 400 in SDE. I'm trying to bracket that $300,000 number. There were 18 of them, and then from those 18, I removed 8 of them that had real estate. So I drilled down to 10 of them in Florida that had an SDE of 200 to 400 in the collision space. And then you'll see what that ratio is when you remove the real estate ones. So I think those are the searches we're going to do. This is my subject property right here. It is, as I mentioned, Vero Beach, which is Indian River. First, I'm going to go into the association. I'm going to go into sold. Let's do a narrow, quick search just of Indian, and that's not going to be sufficient enough because there's not enough of them. I'm not going to put dates or anything. There's only 5. From the efforts of 21 years of about 900 guys, we only sold 5 in that county. That can tell me a lot of different things. Here are the sales. I have to remove this one, and I have to remove the one that is a double. So there's really not enough of a selection, but I did want you to see it. The average of these 3 came out to price versus 1 owner. Now, we have a couple of owners, so I have to understand, or the buyer has to understand, is this 254 for 1, 2, or 3 owners? If it's for 3 owners, 2 of them need to be replaced. So what is the replacement cost? Today's fair market value to replace 2 owners' workload, because only 1 owner is coming in, 3 owners are leaving, or 2 owners are leaving. It needs to be a 1-to-1 comparison. Whatever ratio we're showing, it's based on this number, but this number should be adjusted for the PPP, the salaries. Ultimately, you come up with a number here. If you have to replace partner number 3 and partner number 2 for 40, 50, 30 grand, so now you have to remove another 100 from this. Now the SDE is really 150. You got to look at the numbers in that fashion. Let me just show you what the solds were. Before removing anything under the heading of Automotive, it's telling me 1.8 times 1 owner's 1 year's earnings, and about 70% of a price should be down payment. So once we figure out what 1 owner's SDE is, you multiply it by 1.8 with a 70% down payment. That would be the average. I am going to remove that one and recalculate. It kicks it up to 2.25 with 62%, 2.25, but there's 2 of them that are heavily weighting here. Sold price, if we look at it, he sold that one in 14. It's also old. And here. So it is the same listing, but it's got 2 different numbers on it. This is November 7th. I'm going to remove the one that's the outlier, the higher one, and I'm going to just give you some averages here. If I took those 3, I got rid of the one that had no sales, and I got rid of the one that was a double, and it was a crazy ratio, same date, same agent. It comes out to 1.5 times the SDE after you normalize it for 1 owner. So first normalize it for 1 owner, multiply it by 1.5. That should be a fair price for Indian River. Now, you might say, Eric, you're totally crazy. Can't base it on these 3. We don't know the dates. There's only 3. Let's look at all Florida, because you have more comparables. And we could do just collision. So here I'm going to do all Florida, Automotive. Here's the subcategories. I'm going to go to body shop. Now, if you think I should be clicking on any of these other subcategories, I'm happy to go back and do this again, because I already have my notes. But if I do body shops, all Florida, all time frames, now, I think what happened 20 years ago is not relevant, but I just wanted to get enough of a selection in here. I could easily just say, show me the last 10 years. I just wanted to show you everything. Here's what's in here. There's 80 of them. And if I sort it by SDE, which is discretionary earnings for this application. We certainly want to get rid of these smaller earnings because you do have some earnings here. There's 80 of them. Just to show you how this works, comes out to 2.8 times earnings with 76% down payment. Now, 80 of them are not comparable, certainly. What do? I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, show me, since I don't know what gross sales equals the seller's discretionary earnings, this is minimum. So I'm going to go minimum earnings of 200. Now, once you adjust this over here on the right side for one owner, it might only be for 100,000 because you got to replace partner number 2 and partner number 3 and consider that PPE. It's not stated on here. I know it might be in the financials, but just for a quick overview, you got to first identify, what are we selling? Are we selling $100,000 for one owner, 150? What might that owner earn? Then we come over and we look at what has sold. So I'm going to look at minimum 200. All right, that cuts the list down. I need to get rid of the larger ones. I'm going to do that with you right now. I'm going to go to just under 400. And here we come up to 2.45 and a 69% down payment. Now, some of these have real estate. And if you look at this, you can tell that has real estate because it's 7.62 times earnings, which needs to be removed. And when you look at it, just to prove it, there's a $1.2 million worth of assets. It talks about the location is available. That was included, the building, so I removed it. All right. So I'm going to remove this one. I'm going to skip 2, 1, 2, and I go to that one. That one gets removed. I skip one more, and then I go to this one, gets removed. That one gets removed, and I skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and I go to the 303. That gets removed, and that gets removed, and then there's 3, 1, 2, 3 that can stay, and then I get rid of that one, and I get rid of that one. Now, when I do that, you're going to see if I remove the ratios, basically it's all because if you made $100,000 but the business sold for $2 million, the ratios are disproportionate because there's a building and real estate. We don't have building and real estate. It's kind of like you're trying to find out what the price of the house is, so you remove all of the ones that have an ocean view because your house is a dry lot. If we're selling a dry lot, I can't compare you to an ocean view. So I have to get rid of the ocean views. In this case, it's the real estate that was included that's throwing off the average. So I go over here and you come up to 1.38. My first search showed 1.66 with a 62. So I may have inadvertently included or excluded one of these that shouldn't be. It was 1.66 with a 62% down payment for the balance of the 10. There may have inadvertently been one in here. It came out to 1.39 with a 63%. But call it 1.5, 1.6. I think that's more realistic. This is on the low side. But that's pretty much where we're at. So I'm seeing 1.66, 1.7, call it in that range. Once you identify what one times earnings is, that's fair market value to me, in my mind. All right. And then, of course, I would go back and I would look at the ones that don't have real estate and look at the time frame. When were they sold? If it was 20 years ago, maybe we want to sort it a little bit better by date. I drilled it down to the best 10 that I was able to find. I can go back and recreate that, but I saw 1.66 the first time. All right, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.